So at the beginning of this year, I decided to give up shopping, or rather, I quit buying anything which was non-essential. I explained the rules to my no buy year in full in my first video at the beginning of the year, but the brief lowdown is the only things I could buy were my food and replacements for things which I used up, like shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, cleaning products, etc. Everything else outside of the realm of reusable and quite frequent use was classified as non-essential, which meant no books, no clothes, no makeup, no accessories, no home decor, no apps, no newspapers, no stationery, no stickers, no coffees, no gadgets, no alcohol. You get the drift. You're probably confused as to why I'm talking about my no-buy year in review before the end of the year. However, I'm so confident in my no-buy status that I want to talk about it now because I have other things that I'd like to discuss in December that are more related to December time stuff, i.e. the Christmas shopping period, things like that. I don't want to bore you with too much of it. I thought I'd just throw this in here and review it. So let's talk about the facts, because you're probably interested by now as to whether or not I stuck to my no-buy pledge, and the answer is emphatically yes. Yes, I did. I didn't buy a single thing that was non-essential. I bought 0 makeup this year, 0 books this year, 0 jewelry, 0 clothes, anything. What was that? That's so not me. The idea of giving up shopping to most people sounds intimidating and, quite challenging considering the society that we live in. Temptation is rife. Marketing techniques are employed by companies are so devious, to say the least. There's always so many nice new things out there. There's so many interesting books being published, and you always see some model on Instagram wearing something incredible that makes them seem so elite but still attainable and realistic, and you think, oh, I need it. You can't escape the temptation, even if you stop buying things, because ads appear on your Instagram as you continue to scroll. It's like they're haunting you and tempting you all of the time. They push items to you that they know you'll adore because it matches your interests according to the digital footprints that you've left everywhere in terms of Google searches and the things that you've liked on Instagram, and oh my god, it's haunting you. What can you do? But I did it. I avoided all temptation, and I took a step back from the world and started examining consumerism from the outside. And once you start doing that, you start to see how freaking manipulative and aggressive sales marketing is. From warning you that it's your last chance to buy something, to informing you that it's a must-have of the season. It's all incredibly dictatorial, but in such a sly way that you're under the impression that you're in control. It's just the companies that are serving you, but in reality, they're bossing you around. It may sound strange to some people, but I was actually really confident going into this challenge because I'm afraid I'm an all or nothing type of person, and yes, that is a dangerous mindset to have. It has put me in a lot of trouble in the past, and I wouldn't go around recommending people embrace that kind of mentality, but that mindset has its power when I employ it for good reasons, for reasonable challenges that aren't dangerous in any way. It's not an approach everyone should take unless you're naturally inclined that way, but because I am that way inclined, I went into this challenge of no buy quite optimistic. However, what I didn't realize was how much I would love it. I just thought it would be a thing. I didn't think it would become, oh wow, life-changing for the better. I absolutely adore not buying anything, and you can bet your sweet butt I'm not going to stop this challenge anytime soon. And don't get me wrong, I really tried to mess myself up. I put myself in situations where temptation was pervasive. I attended to book festivals and walked around the book tents, walked in bookshops, walked back out again without anything. I even, during the sales period, went into clothes shops and picked up clothes I would like, walked around the shop with them for 10 minutes and then put them all back and walked out the shop empty-handed. Because I read many years ago something about the longer you hold on to an item, which is usually the golden 10 minutes, you start becoming attached to it and claim it as your own, and you're more likely to purchase something that you've been holding on to rather than something you just picked up briefly and put back immediately. So I really tested myself. I really tried to see if I could break the limit. And I broke it. And I did all this, because it may sound odd, but I tried to condition myself into living in a consumerist world without consuming. I needed to prove to myself that these things wouldn't make my life any better or more fulfilled, and to prove to myself that I could walk away from things because I wanted to develop a more mature and grounded understanding of the difference between wanting something and needing something. And this challenge helped me figure that out a lot. After around 4 months into the challenge, I realized I just stopped wanting anything. Even if I went into bookshops or clothes shops, I liked something, but I didn't want it. Something interested me, and I didn't want it. I suddenly started becoming way more grateful for the stuff that I had in my house. In fact, I started becoming overwhelmed with the stuff that I had in my house, and it's something I hadn't really fully embraced and digested until I stopped bringing more things into my life. I could easily end this challenge in December, but in all honesty, there is nothing that I want to break this challenge for. What I found most interesting about this challenge was how much it changed my perspective on sustainability and essentialism. When you start to buy only the essentials, you start to become hyper aware of how many of your essentials are actually not essential and actually could be replaced by a more sustainable option and didn't need to be replaced as frequently, if not at all. And I finally took the time to consider the sustainable replacements for it rather than buying disposable things, and I'll discuss what I stopped buying entirely and replaced with a sustainable alternative in another video. I've also spent the whole year decluttering, which you probably don't believe me when you look behind me, you think there's no way that she's I'm not a minimalist, okay, but I have been decluttering like crazy. I have a lot of stuff, you know, and I'm not an exception to the rule. And I speak on this on a non-formal but perhaps a more personal level. There are people like myself who have probably gone through financial issues in the family with money growing up. And there are several theories actually supporting this argument that children from low-income families tend to become hoarders and collectors and less careful with their money when they grow up, and almost repeat the cyclical process of having money issues when they grow up because they emulate the behaviour that they showed, but also believe that money is just also scarcity that they have to use for the privilege of using it because they want to feel like people who have money at their disposal. At the same time, they don't have money at their disposal, and it's almost this weird cyclical psychology of self-shame and also trying to engage in a privilege that they don't really have access to, also failing to recognise that they actually don't have access to this privilege. And I grew up in this kind of environment, and I grew up into an adult who used to shop a lot. And shopping used to make me feel better and so less inferior than what I felt like I should be. I spent my whole lifetime feeling inferior to people around me in school, particularly in school because I went to a private school, and I wanted to be like the other girls who fit in here more normally, who didn't have to have like borrowing money and grants and just all this faff behind them, that they could just get sent to school and be like normal girls. And I wanted to kind of fit in with that crowd, and I grew up always wanting to try and fit in with this financial crowd that I knew I wasn't part of, but I was in some sort of denial. And like members of my family and other people who were like me, you kind of just want to feel like the other people who aren't stressed about money, who aren't worried about money. You just want to feel like them, and you think the way of feeling that way is actually by spending your money in the same way they do, and in reality it's obviously the opposite. So yes, no brainer. In this no buy year, I saved a lot of money, more money than I've ever saved in my entire lifetime. However, the incredible benefit which I'm chasing and holding on to is actually not my ability to save money more easily. I'm not exaggerating by saying that this no buy year changed my life for the better, and I'll never go back. It's a bit like when I went vegan. It's like one of those issues where I hope I never have to go back because this makes me feel incredible. This makes me feel like I'm doing something that's right for me. My no buy year made me feel far more mindful of where I spend my money and how I spend my money. And it was a recovery process, I think, for something that I've bottled down and not been able to deal with for a long time, because it suddenly snapped an automatic urge that I grew up needing to fulfill, this inferiority complex that I didn't really know I had in this dynamic. I knew I've always had inferiority complexes, but not in this dynamic. And it wasn't until I took a step back and broke that chain that I realised that, yes, wow, I just freed myself from something that was bought up a lifetime. I didn't even realise that was the answer to it. I've stopped trying to fill this void with materialistic goods, and the no buy year in itself has taught me to start loving who I am, what I have, and just be grateful for everything about me and what I stand for, and just the clothes on my back. You know, I don't need to chase this kind of strange void. I don't need to feel part of the consumerist bubble to feel relevant. It also taught me to confront the wastefulness of capitalism and the masses of stuff which is thrown away and dumped every 3 months because seasons and fashion changes. You know, it made me consider my environmental impact beyond my veganism, and made me reflect upon my relationships and how I want to approach gift giving in the future. The no buy year has taught me so much about what I want out of life and what I need, and most of what I want and need in life is not material at all. And I want to create meaningful conversations, and I want to see things and have deeper relationships with people, and I want to create art, and I share a message with people, and all I need in return is a roof over my head and the ability to pay my bills, and some human connection now and then is excellent. You know, that's great. All I want is my dog to be well and my dog to be happy, and no flash sale on Instagram is going to bring a smile to her face or mine. You know, the only thing I need is to just see the people and the animals that I have in my life and I care about grow and be happy and be healthy, and I need to be healthy and happy too, and to love myself more. So basically what I realised about no buy year is that no ad on Instagram or mannequin in the window is going to display what I need and want in life. My no buy year mentality has evolved into a no buy life mentality. And since I cured my shopping addiction by going cold turkey, I'm kind of curious as to try more challenges in the next year, like quitting sugar and getting up earlier for 66 days to see whether or not my response to such challenges like that are as positive as this one. Just push myself out, because now I know I can do that. I'm pretty confident with just approaching other things that may be a little bit more scary and a little more close to home. So if you've tried the no buy year yourself, or if you've tried any of the challenges that have changed your life for the better, let me know in the comments down below, like which ones would you recommend that I try out or other people try out, and why have they changed your life for the better? And if you're considering a no buy year in the future, let me know if you think, I think you can do it, and I think you will reap the benefits of doing so. So that's it for today's video. It's a bit more chatty than a scripted one than usual. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my no buy year, and I'll be talking more about sustainability and no buy during the Christmas period, because I think that's quite an interesting time to analyze stuff, and about more sustainable gift giving, etc. If you like this channel, please consider subscribing or liking this video if you enjoyed it, and until next time, books save lives, so keep reading.